If you enjoyed this audiobook, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. Sharing it with your friends and family helps spread knowledge. And when we help others grow, we grow too. Thank you so much for listening. Let's dive into the audiobook. Chapter 1. The Jump, Choosing Your Freedom. Part 1. The Spark of Freedom. Maria Chen had everything anyone would want on paper. Senior marketing manager at a Fortune 500 company. Six-figure salary, corner office, excellent benefits. Yet every Monday morning felt like walking into a beautiful prison. When her alarm buzzed at 6:30 a.m., the dread wasn't just about waking up early. It was about spending another day in a role that had stopped challenging her months ago. This is the spark of freedom. It arrives differently for everyone, but the symptoms remain remarkably consistent across industries and income levels. Research from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs each month, and increasingly, they're choosing freelance work over traditional employment. The spark often begins as a whisper during mundane meetings. Take Jonathan Fields, who left his prestigious law career to become a fitness entrepreneur. He describes the moment he realized he was building someone else's dream instead of his own. The corporate ladder had become a hamster wheel, endless motion without meaningful progress. Physical symptoms accompany the emotional ones. Sunday evening anxiety, researchers call it the Sunday scaries, affects 76% of American workers, according to LinkedIn's Workforce Confidence Survey. Your body knows before your mind accepts it. Sleep patterns change. Energy levels drop during work hours, but spike when pursuing personal projects after hours. Money isn't typically the primary motivator, despite what many assume. Sarah Horowitz, founder of the Freelancers Union, found that autonomy ranks higher than compensation for most freelancers. The ability to choose projects, set schedules, and work with preferred clients creates satisfaction that traditional employment structures struggle to match. Consider the story of Pete Savage, co-author of The Wealthy Freelancer. Working as a corporate communications director, he found himself envying the freelance writers his company hired. They controlled their time, chose engaging projects, and often earned more per hour than full-time employees. The realization hit during a particularly pointless quarterly planning meeting. He was managing people doing work he'd rather be doing himself. The spark intensifies when you recognize the gap between your skills and your role's requirements. Overqualification breeds frustration. Creative professionals especially struggle with this dynamic. Photographer Joy Cho describes spending years in corporate roles that utilized maybe 20% of her creative abilities, leaving the remaining 80% dormant and unfulfilled. Recognition comes gradually, then suddenly. Small frustrations compound until they create an undeniable pattern. The project you could complete in 2 hours stretches across 2 weeks due to approval processes. Your innovative ideas disappear into committee discussions. The work that once energized you now feels mechanical. This spark isn't dissatisfaction, it's awakening. The realization that your current path diverges from your authentic professional identity. When this recognition arrives, the question shifts from, should I stay, to when will I go? The freelance pathway begins with acknowledging this spark and treating it as valuable intelligence rather than workplace complaints to ignore. Part 2. Defining your why. When Laura Briggs left her corporate marketing job in 2014, she thought her primary motivation was escaping the daily commute. 6 months into freelancing, struggling through her first major project setback, she discovered her real driving force: the desire to build something entirely her own. This revelation became the foundation of her eventual 6-figure writing business. Your surface-level reasons for choosing freelancing, flexibility, better pay, or work-life balance might be valid starting points, but they rarely sustain you through the inevitable challenges ahead. Sarah Horowitz, founder of the Freelancers Union, calls this deeper motivation your North Star, the fundamental values that guide every business decision. Without this clarity, freelancers often drift between projects, accepting work that pays well but drains their energy. The money becomes a hollow reward when the work itself contradicts your core beliefs about how you want to spend your professional life. Consider photographer David Aries' transformation. Initially motivated by creative freedom, he discovered his true driving force was educating fellow designers through his work. This realization shifted his entire business model from generic photography services to specialized design consulting and educational content creation. His why became the filter for every opportunity, helping him build a sustainable practice that energized rather than exhausted him. Your why must withstand scrutiny during difficult periods. Freelancing presents inevitable moments of uncertainty, late client payments, project cancellations, or market downturns. During these challenges, surface motivations like wanting flexibility crumble under pressure. But deeper purposes, wanting to create meaningful impact, build generational wealth, or demonstrate expertise in your field, provide the resilience needed to persist and adapt. The most successful freelancers often discover their why through reflection on what frustrated them most in traditional employment. Dominic Kent left his agency role not just for better hours, but because he wanted direct relationships with the businesses he helped grow. This insight guided him toward retainer-based consulting rather than project-based work, creating the stability and impact he craved. Tim Ferriss suggests testing your why through a simple exercise. Imagine explaining your decision to freelance to someone whose opinion you deeply respect. If your explanation feels shallow or defensive, you likely need to dig deeper. The most compelling explanations connect personal values with professional actions in ways that feel authentic and energizing. Your why serves as both anchor and compass. It keeps you grounded during uncertainty while pointing toward opportunities that align with your deeper motivations. This clarity transforms freelancing from merely escaping traditional employment into actively building the professional life that reflects your authentic values and long-term vision. Part 3. The First Leap. When Amanda Miller finally submitted her resignation letter after 8 years at a prestigious marketing firm, her hands trembled for 15 minutes afterward. She had a mortgage, twin toddlers, and no guaranteed income waiting for her. Yet 6 months later, she was earning 40% more as a freelance brand strategist while working from her home office in Austin. The difference wasn't luck. It was how she approached the leap itself. The transition from employee to freelancer isn't about throwing caution to the wind. It requires what Sarah Horowitz calls calculated courage, a methodical approach to managing both practical concerns and emotional turbulence. Most people who successfully make this shift don't quit cold turkey. They build bridges before burning them. Consider the case of Michael Chen, a software developer who spent 18 months preparing for his freelance career while still employed. He started taking on small projects during weekends, built a client base of 3 regular customers, and saved 6 months of living expenses. When he finally left his corporate job, he already had contracts worth more than his previous salary lined up. This approach transforms what feels like jumping off a cliff into stepping confidently onto solid ground. The emotional barriers often prove more challenging than practical ones. Fear of irregular income keeps many talented professionals trapped in unfulfilling jobs. Steve Slaunwhite suggests reframing this concern by examining the reality behind perceived security. Corporate jobs eliminate income variability by limiting income potential. Freelancers trade the illusion of guaranteed paychecks for the reality of income control. Laura Briggs recommends creating what she calls a fear inventory, writing down specific concerns about freelancing, then researching practical solutions for each one. Worried about health insurance? Explore marketplace options or freelancer union benefits. Concerned about finding clients? Study successful freelancers in your field and document their client acquisition strategies. This exercise transforms vague anxiety into actionable preparation steps. The most successful freelancers also develop what Chris Guillebeau describes as micro-entrepreneurial thinking. They don't just sell their time, They solve specific problems for specific people. Amanda Miller didn't position herself as a generic marketing consultant. She specialized in helping B2B software companies redesign their customer onboarding processes, a niche that commanded premium rates and attracted motivated clients. Timing your leap requires honest assessment of your financial runway and market readiness. Diane Mulcahy suggests having 3 to 6 months of expenses saved, plus enough work lined up to cover at least 2 months of basic needs. This cushion provides breathing room to find your rhythm without panic-driven decision-making. The psychological shift matters just as much as financial preparation. Successful freelancers learn to view uncertainty as opportunity rather than threat. Each client conversation becomes market research. Every project teaches valuable lessons about pricing, communication, and service delivery. This mindset transforms the inevitable bumps into stepping stones toward mastery, rather than reasons to retreat. Making the leap isn't about abandoning security. It's about taking responsibility for creating it yourself. Part 4. A Table for One. When WeWork's Adam Neumann operated from coffee shops before building a $47 billion empire, he wasn't just bootstrapping, he was learning the fundamental skill every freelancer must master: complete self-reliance. The transition from collaborative office environments to working alone represents more than a change of scenery. It demands a complete rewiring of how you approach productivity, motivation, and success. Sarah Horowitz, founder of Freelancers Union, discovered this truth when she left her law career to advocate for independent workers. Her first months involved setting up makeshift offices in her apartment, learning to structure days without external oversight, and developing systems that traditional employees never consider. The solitude initially felt overwhelming, but it quickly became her greatest asset. Consider how different your energy flows when nobody else sets your schedule. Meg Mateo Velasco learned this while transitioning from agency design work to independent creative consulting. She found that peak performance hours shifted dramatically once external meetings and office interruptions disappeared. What seemed like isolation became focused creativity. The key was recognizing that working alone doesn't mean working in a vacuum. It means taking full ownership of your environment and processes. Steve Slaunwhite transformed his freelance writing career by treating his home office like a professional workspace, complete with dedicated phone lines and scheduled client hours. This approach eliminated the amateur perception that often undermines new freelancers. When clients called, they heard professional efficiency, not domestic chaos in the background. The psychological shift proves just as crucial as the physical setup. Laura Briggs built her 6-figure freelance business by viewing every setback as valuable market research rather than personal failure. When a client rejected her first proposal, she analyzed their feedback and refined her approach. That rejection became the foundation for a pricing strategy that eventually commanded premium rates. Working solo means becoming comfortable with silence. The silence between projects, between client responses, and during those inevitable moments of self-doubt. Chris Guillebeau documented this in his research on successful independent entrepreneurs, finding that those who thrived learned to fill that silence with productive action rather than anxiety. Your workspace becomes a reflection of your professional identity. Whether it's a corner desk or a dedicated room, this space needs to signal to both you and others that serious work happens here. The most successful freelancers create environments that support focus while maintaining the flexibility that drew them to independence in the first place. The table for one isn't about loneliness, it's about ownership. Every decision, from client selection to pricing strategy, becomes yours to make and yours to own. This responsibility initially feels daunting, but it quickly transforms into the freedom that makes freelancing genuinely rewarding. Chapter 2. The Flow. Finding Work That Feeds You Part 1. Your goldmine of skills. When Mark Benioff stepped down from Oracle to start Salesforce in 1999, he wasn't just leaving a high-paying job. He was betting on skills most people couldn't even see on his resume. His ability to translate complex software concepts into simple business solutions became the foundation of a multi-billion-dollar empire. Your freelance success depends on making that same recognition about your own hidden talents. Most freelancers dramatically undervalue their abilities because they're too close to their own expertise. Sarah Marcus spent 15 years in corporate HR before realizing her talent for explaining policy changes to confused employees could translate into technical writing for software companies. What felt routine to her was worth $85 per hour to clients struggling with user manuals. The skills that come naturally to you often represent your biggest opportunities. Consider the accountant who explains tax code changes to friends every April. That translation ability is worth thousands to small business owners drowning in IRS updates. Or the teacher who creates engaging presentations for difficult concepts. Fortune 500 companies pay premium rates for that exact skill when training their workforce. Your professional background contains transferable gold mines. A restaurant manager possesses project management skills, crisis resolution abilities, and team leadership experience that consulting firms desperately need. The retail associate who increased store sales by 20% through customer relationship building has marketing skills worth consulting fees. These aren't just job duties, they're measurable business solutions. Hidden talents often emerge from your personal interests and side activities. David Cancel sold his first startup partly because of social media strategies he developed while promoting local bands in Boston. His hobby became a core business skill worth millions. What do friends consistently ask for your help with? That recurring request pattern reveals marketable expertise. Past failures contain valuable insights too. The entrepreneur whose restaurant closed still possesses menu development skills, vendor negotiation experience, and cost control knowledge that other food service businesses will pay for. Failure teaches lessons that successful consultants package into premium advice. Document everything you've accomplished with specific numbers and outcomes. Instead of managed social media, write increased Instagram engagement by 150% over 6 months, generating 40 new leads monthly. Quantified results transform ordinary experiences into compelling service offerings. Your education extends beyond formal degrees. Online courses, certifications, workshops, and self-taught skills all count as credentials. The graphic designer who learned web development through YouTube tutorials can charge double by offering both services to the same clients. Geographic knowledge creates niche opportunities. Living in Austin gives you insights into local business culture that remote consultants lack. Speaking multiple languages opens international markets. Industry connections from previous jobs become referral networks. The key is honest assessment without false modesty. You possess combinations of skills, experiences, and perspectives that no one else has in exactly the same way. That unique blend is your competitive advantage in the freelance marketplace. Stop waiting for more qualifications. Start cataloging what you already know. Your goldmine exists in the intersection of your experiences, talents, and the problems you naturally solve. The market is waiting for your particular expertise. Part 2. The client story. When Sarah Chen quit her corporate marketing job to freelance full-time, she made a crucial mistake that nearly ended her career before it began. She treated every potential client like a transaction, leading with her services instead of understanding their stories. 3 months later, she was back to browsing job boards, wondering where she went wrong. The problem wasn't Sarah's skills or pricing. She had overlooked a fundamental truth about freelancing success. Clients don't just buy services, they buy solutions to their specific challenges. More importantly, they buy from people who understand their world. Think of client relationships like friendships. You don't walk up to strangers and immediately ask for favors. You start conversations, find common ground, and build genuine connections. The same principle applies to freelancing, but with a professional twist. Your ideal clients are dealing with problems that keep them awake at night. Your job is to understand those problems better than they do. Consider how copywriter Laura Belgray built her six-figure business. Instead of pitching generic writing services, she positioned herself as someone who understood female entrepreneurs' struggles with email marketing. She shared stories about her own business challenges, spoke their language, and demonstrated deep knowledge of their industry. Clients didn't just hire her for copy. They hired her because she genuinely understood their world. The most successful freelancers master this art of connection. They research their prospects thoroughly, reading their blog posts, following their social media, and understanding their industry challenges. When photographer Chase Jarvis pitched major brands, he didn't lead with his technical skills. He studied each brand's visual identity, understood their marketing goals, and presented solutions that aligned with their specific needs. This approach transforms how you communicate with potential clients. Instead of saying, "I provide web design services," you might say, "I help growing restaurants create online ordering systems that actually increase their average ticket size." The difference is profound. The first statement is about you. The second is about solving their specific problem. Building these connections requires patience and authenticity. Marketing consultant Amy Porterfield spent months creating valuable content for online business owners before landing her first major client. She answered questions in Facebook groups, shared insights on podcasts, and consistently demonstrated her expertise without immediately asking for business. The strongest client relationships develop when you stop viewing prospects as potential paychecks and start seeing them as human beings with real challenges. This shift in perspective changes everything about how you present yourself, communicate your value, and build long-term partnerships. Your ideal clients are out there right now, struggling with problems you can solve. They're not looking for the cheapest option or the fanciest portfolio. They're looking for someone who understands their situation and can guide them toward better outcomes. When you focus on their story instead of your services, magic happens. Part 3. Money Conversations. When Sarah Horowitz founded the Freelancers Union, she noticed something fascinating. Freelancers who struggled most weren't lacking talent or work ethic. They were gifted professionals who couldn't bring themselves to ask for what they were worth. The fear of money conversations was literally keeping them broke. Most freelancers approach pricing like they're asking for charity rather than proposing a business transaction. This mindset shows up in subtle ways. You might catch yourself saying, "I hope this price works for you," instead of, "My rate for this project is X." The difference matters more than you think. Steve Slaunwhite discovered this during his transition from employee to six-figure freelancer. Early on, he'd present proposals with apologetic language and flexible pricing. Clients sensed his uncertainty and pushed back constantly. The breakthrough came when he started framing money as an investment in their success rather than a cost they had to bear. Consider how architect Frank Gehry discusses project budgets. He doesn't apologize for his fees because he understands something crucial. Clients who hire him want extraordinary results, and extraordinary results require significant investment. He positions cost as directly connected to value delivered. Freelancers can adopt this same approach. The sandwich method works particularly well for difficult pricing conversations. Start with genuine enthusiasm about the project. Present your rate clearly without justification, then immediately redirect to next steps. "I'm excited about this website redesign project. My fee is $8,000 for the complete package we discussed. When would you like to begin the discovery phase?" Laura Briggs built her six-figure freelance business by completely reframing rejection. When clients said her rates were too high, she responded with curiosity rather than defensiveness. "I understand budget is a concern. What specific outcomes are most important to you?" This question often revealed that clients valued results more than they feared costs. The most successful freelancers treat money conversations like any other project requirement. You wouldn't apologize for needing access to company data or requiring 2 weeks for completion. Your pricing deserves the same matter-of-fact treatment. Ed Gandia's research with high-earning freelancers revealed another powerful insight. Those earning $100,000 or more annually had learned to walk away from undervalued opportunities. They understood that saying yes to cheap work meant saying no to profitable projects. This isn't about arrogance, it's about business sustainability. Practice money conversations before you need them. Record yourself presenting rates to an imaginary client. Notice where your voice wavers or where you add unnecessary qualifiers. The goal isn't to sound robotic, but to communicate value with quiet confidence. Remember that clients who genuinely need your expertise expect professional-level investment. The ones pushing for bargain prices often become the most demanding and least satisfied customers. When you price appropriately, you attract clients who value quality and respect your professional judgment. Part 4. The Feast and the Famine. When Kayla Cohen quit her marketing job in 2019 to freelance full-time, she celebrated landing her first $5,000 project within 2 weeks. 3 months later, she was eating ramen noodles and questioning everything. Her bank account showed $247, and her next client payment was weeks away. Cohen's experience mirrors that of nearly every freelancer who transitions from steady paychecks to project-based income. Research from the Freelancers Union reveals that 79% of independent workers experience significant income fluctuations, with earnings varying by 40% or more month to month. This isn't a bug in the freelance system. It's a feature you must learn to manage. The emotional toll of irregular income often catches new freelancers off guard more than the financial impact. Jessica Williams, a graphic designer who built a six-figure freelance business, describes her early years. The anxiety wasn't about the money itself. It was about not knowing when the next check would arrive. This uncertainty triggers what psychologists call financial stress response, leading to poor decision-making, like accepting low-paying rush jobs out of panic. Creating a financial buffer becomes your first line of defense. Sarah Horowitz, founder of the Freelancers Union, recommends the 3-bucket system: emergency funds covering 6 months of expenses, operating capital for business costs, and growth money for opportunities. This sounds overwhelming for someone just starting, but Cohen built her buffer gradually, saving 30% of each payment regardless of amount. The key insight that transforms struggling freelancers into thriving ones, treating feast periods as preparation for famine, not celebration time. When Cohen landed another $8,000 project, she didn't upgrade her lifestyle. Instead, she used the abundance to secure her foundation, knowing quieter periods would come. Seasoned freelancers develop what Diane Mulcahy calls portfolio income. Multiple revenue streams that don't all peak and valley simultaneously. This might include retainer clients providing steady monthly income, project work offering higher pay, and passive income from courses or templates. Laura Briggs built her 6-figure business by ensuring 40% of her income came from recurring monthly clients, while projects provided growth and variety. The psychological shift matters as much as financial strategy. Successful freelancers reframe quiet periods as opportunities for skill development, business planning, and relationship building rather than career failures. They invest slow times in activities that generate future work, improving their website, reaching out to past clients, or learning new skills. Steve Slaunwhite notes that understanding seasonal patterns in your industry helps normalize income fluctuations. If you're a tax preparer, expecting slow summers isn't pessimism, it's planning. Wedding photographers know winter brings fewer bookings, so they prepare accordingly. The feast and famine cycle doesn't disappear with experience, but your relationship with it transforms. What initially feels like financial chaos becomes a manageable rhythm when you have systems, savings, and the right mindset supporting your journey. Chapter 3. The Freedom System. Working Less, Living More. Part 1. Declutter to Grow. When Marie Chen accepted a $2,000 project, designing 12 product brochures, she felt accomplished. After dedicating 60 hours across 3 weeks, however, she calculated her actual hourly rate at just over $30, less than she earned at her corporate job. The work required endless revisions, client meetings that ran overtime, and tasks that drained her creative energy without delivering proportional value. Marie's experience reflects a common challenge among freelancers. Research from the Freelancers Union shows that successful independent professionals spend roughly 30% of their time on non-billable activities. Yet most freelancers struggle to distinguish between essential business activities and time-wasting busy work that prevents growth. Consider photographer David Kim, who documented his daily activities for 1 month. He discovered 23 different tasks consuming his schedule, from responding to inquiry emails to updating social media accounts. More importantly, he found that only 6 activities generated actual revenue or attracted new clients. The remaining 17 tasks created an illusion of productivity while contributing minimally to his business growth. The principle of selective focus transforms freelancing outcomes. Instead of accepting every opportunity, successful freelancers develop criteria for evaluating potential work. Laura Briggs, who built a 6-figure freelance writing business, suggests calculating the true cost of each project by factoring in communication time, revisions, research requirements, and opportunity cost. Projects failing to meet specific profit margins get declined or redesigned. This selective approach applies beyond client work. Many freelancers spend hours crafting perfect proposals for low-value prospects, while neglecting follow-up calls with existing clients who might increase their budgets. The counterintuitive truth is that saying no to mediocre opportunities creates space for exceptional ones. Workflow minimalism offers another growth accelerator. Steve Sloan-White tracks every 15-minute block of his workday, categorizing activities as either revenue-generating, business-building, or administrative. Administrative tasks receive limited time blocks, while revenue activities get priority scheduling during peak energy hours. The delegation decision becomes clearer when you calculate your effective hourly rate. If you earn $80 per hour designing websites but spend 3 hours weekly on bookkeeping tasks, hiring a $30 per hour bookkeeper saves you both time and money. The freed hours can serve higher-value clients or develop new service offerings. Client relationships also benefit from strategic pruning. Business consultant Keith Savage maintains a client scorecard rating projects on profitability, communication ease, referral potential, and creative satisfaction. Clients scoring below certain thresholds receive notice of rate increases or service modifications. Many accept the changes, improving project profitability. Those who decline create openings for better aligned partnerships. The goal involves creating sustainable systems that support long-term growth rather than short-term busyness. When you eliminate energy-draining activities and focus resources on high-impact work, freelancing becomes both more profitable and more enjoyable. Your calendar transforms from a collection of random tasks into a strategic tool for building the business and lifestyle you actually want. Part 2. Automation Moments. When Jason Chen launched his graphic design practice in 2019, he spent 3 hours each week writing invoices, 2 hours scheduling client calls, and another hour following up on payments. By 2022, he had reduced this administrative burden to 15 minutes weekly, while doubling his client base. The difference wasn't working harder. It was building simple systems that handled the repetitive work automatically. The transformation began with invoicing. Instead of creating custom invoices in Word documents, Jason switched to FreshBooks, which generates recurring invoices automatically. When clients approve project proposals, the system creates payment schedules and sends invoices on predetermined dates. Late payment reminders happen without his involvement. What previously consumed hours now requires a quick weekly review of his dashboard. Scheduling presented another opportunity. Rather than exchanging multiple emails to coordinate meetings, Jason implemented Calendly, Clients select available time slots that sync with his Google Calendar, automatically blocking time and sending confirmation emails. The system even handles time zones and adds video call links. Client Sarah Martinez noted how professional this felt compared to other freelancers who still relied on back-and-forth email coordination. Follow-up sequences became equally streamlined through email automation. Using ConvertKit, Jason created a series that nurtures prospects over 6 weeks. When someone downloads his pricing guide, they receive helpful design tips and case studies automatically. The system identifies when prospects engage with content and alerts him to reach out personally. This approach converted 23% more leads into paying clients compared to manual follow-ups. The financial impact surprised even Jason. Automation tools cost him $89 monthly, but freed up 6 hours weekly, time worth $600 at his hourly rate. More importantly, this created space for creative work and personal projects. He launched a passion project designing book covers, which became a significant revenue stream within 8 months. Small business owner David Kim experienced similar results after implementing project management automation through Asana. Client requests automatically create tasks with due dates and priority levels. Status updates sent to clients weekly without manual intervention. Kim reports sleeping better, knowing nothing falls through the cracks. The key involves starting small rather than overhauling everything simultaneously. Pick one repetitive task consuming significant time weekly. Research tools specifically designed for that function. Most offer free trials, allowing experimentation without financial commitment. Consider your energy patterns when choosing what to automate first. Administrative tasks that drain creative energy often provide the highest return on investment. The goal isn't eliminating all human interaction, but creating systems that handle routine work so you can focus on what clients actually pay you to do, your expertise and creativity. Part 3. Mini retirements. When Stefan Sagmeister first announced he would close his successful design studio for an entire year, industry peers thought he had lost his mind. The renowned graphic designer had built a thriving business working with clients like HBO and the Rolling Stones, yet he deliberately walked away for 12 months to travel, experiment, and recharge. That sabbatical didn't end his career, it transformed it, leading to some of his most innovative work and a completely reimagined approach to professional life. Traditional career advice tells us to work steadily for 40 years, then retire. But freelancers possess a unique advantage: the ability to design mini retirements throughout their careers, taking intentional breaks when it serves their goals, rather than waiting for society's predetermined schedule. These aren't vacations or brief getaways, but substantial periods of rest and renewal that can last weeks, months, or even a full year. The psychology behind mini retirements challenges our relationship with constant productivity. Research from Stanford's Center for Work, Technology, and Organization shows that extended breaks improve creative problem-solving by 41% and reduce burnout-related health issues significantly. Yet most freelancers fear that stepping away will damage client relationships or derail momentum. This concern often proves unfounded when breaks are planned strategically. Sarah Chen, a freelance marketing consultant, discovered this firsthand when she took a 4-month hiatus to care for her aging father. Rather than losing clients, she returned to find several former clients eager to work with her again, impressed by her clear communication about boundaries and priorities. Her 3-month advance notice allowed clients to plan accordingly, and she maintained minimal contact through a trusted colleague who handled urgent matters. The key lies in preparation and communication. Successful mini retirements require financial cushioning, typically 3 to 6 months of expenses saved specifically for this purpose. This differs from emergency funds, serving as dedicated freedom money that makes extended breaks psychologically comfortable. Many freelancers achieve this by taking on higher-paying projects in the months leading up to their planned break, creating what Diane Mulcahy calls sprint and rest cycles. Tim Ferriss popularized the concept of geographic arbitrage, earning in strong currencies while living in locations with lower costs. Digital nomad freelancer Marcus Thompson applies this principle to his annual 3-month stays in Southeast Asia, where his U.S. consulting income stretches significantly further while he explores new cultures and perspectives that inform his work. Consider how these breaks might align with your natural rhythms and life goals. Are there skills you want to develop, places you want to explore, or family time you want to prioritize? The freelance structure allows you to build these aspirations into your career trajectory rather than postponing them indefinitely. What would become possible if you viewed rest not as lost income, but as an investment in your long-term creativity and well-being? Part 4. The Rhythm of Enough. When Rachel Patterson first went freelance as a content strategist in 2019, she worked 70-hour weeks and earned more than her corporate salary. Yet, she felt constantly exhausted and questioned whether freedom meant anything if she never had time to enjoy it. The breakthrough came when she discovered that enough isn't a number. It's a feeling of alignment between your work, energy, and values. Most freelancers fall into the trap of equating more work with more success. They chase every opportunity, fearing that saying no means losing income. But sustainable freelancing requires a different approach. It demands clarity about what constitutes enough money, enough work, and enough stimulation to create a life worth living. Steve Sloan-White, co-author of The Wealthy Freelancer, discovered this principle when his 6-figure copywriting business left him burned out despite financial success. He realized that his definition of enough needed 3 components: sufficient income to cover his lifestyle goals, manageable hours that preserved his health, and work that felt meaningful rather than merely profitable. The income piece requires honest math. Calculate your actual monthly expenses, add a reasonable buffer for emergencies and growth. Then determine how many hours at your current rate this requires. Many freelancers discover they need far less than they imagined. Designer Sarah Kim found that $4,000 monthly covered her Portland lifestyle comfortably, requiring just 25 hours of client work per week at her $160 hourly rate. Energy cycles matter more than rigid schedules. Track your natural rhythms for 2 weeks. Note when you feel most creative, when administrative tasks feel manageable, and when you need restoration. Rachel Patterson discovered she's most productive Tuesday through Thursday mornings, so she schedules demanding client calls then and reserves Mondays for planning and Fridays for lighter tasks. Creating seasonal rhythms prevents burnout while maximizing earnings. Tim Ferriss popularized this concept in the 4-hour workweek, but freelancers can adapt it practically. Plan intensive work periods around your financial goals, then build in recovery phases. Content creator Marcus Thompson works intensively from September through November, earning 60% of his annual income during this peak season, then takes December mostly off and works reduced hours through spring. The key question isn't whether you're working enough, but whether your work rhythm supports your broader life goals. What does fulfillment look like beyond your bank account? How much margin do you need for creativity, relationships, and personal growth? Your enough equation will evolve as your life changes, and that's perfectly natural. The freelance path offers the flexibility to adjust your definition of sufficient income and reasonable hours as your priorities shift. Regular quarterly reviews help you stay aligned with what truly matters rather than defaulting to society's definition of success. Chapter 4: The Money Garden: Growing Wealth Without Overwork. Part 1: The Simple Budget Map. When freelance income jumps from $500 one month to $3,000 the next, then drops to $1,200 the following month, traditional budgeting advice crumbles. Most financial guidance assumes steady paychecks, but freelancers need a fundamentally different approach that treats irregular income as a feature, not a bug, of their financial landscape. Think of your freelance budget as a water reservoir system. During rainy seasons, excess water fills the reservoir. During droughts, you draw from stored supplies. Your budget needs similar flexibility to capture abundant months and sustain you through leaner periods. Start with the foundation, tracking everything for 3 months. Write down every dollar earned and every expense, no matter how small. Laura Briggs, who built a 6-figure freelance editing business, discovered she was spending $200 monthly on coffee shop visits while working. This wasn't wrong, but knowing the number let her make conscious choices about workspace expenses. Create 3 distinct categories for your income tracking. First, guaranteed income from retainer clients or ongoing contracts. Second, probable income from proposals submitted or projects in discussion. Third, possible income from new prospects or seasonal work. This system, used by successful freelancers worldwide, prevents the feast or famine mindset that destroys financial confidence. For expenses, separate needs from wants with brutal honesty. Rent, utilities, basic food, and business essentials form your survival budget. Calculate this number precisely. If your monthly survival costs are $2,500, you know exactly what you must earn to maintain basic operations. The Freelancers Union found that members who tracked expenses in simple categories spent 23% less on non-essentials within 6 months. Use broad categories like housing, food, transportation, business expenses, and personal spending. Avoid creating 15 micro-categories that require PhD-level accounting to maintain. Build your budget around your lowest earning month from the past year, not your highest. If you earned between $1,800 and $4,500 monthly last year, budget for $1,800. Every dollar above that baseline goes toward taxes, savings, or debt reduction. This approach eliminates the dangerous habit of lifestyle inflation during good months. Technology simplifies tracking without overwhelming complexity. Tools like YNAB or simple spreadsheets work better than elaborate systems you abandon after 2 weeks. The goal is consistent tracking, not perfect categorization. Review your budget monthly, adjusting categories based on actual spending patterns. If you consistently overspend on business tools, increase that allocation rather than fighting reality. Your budget should reflect your actual life, not an idealized version that creates constant guilt. Remember that budgeting for freelancers is about creating calm in uncertainty, not restricting every purchase. When you know your numbers and plan for variability, those quiet weeks become manageable pauses rather than financial emergencies. Part 2. Multiple Seeds, One Garden. When documentary filmmaker Sarah Binman lost her biggest corporate client in 2019, she discovered something remarkable. Her 3 smaller income streams not only kept her afloat, they actually generated more revenue than her single major contract ever had. The lesson transformed how she approached freelance financial stability forever. The most successful freelancers understand a fundamental truth about money. Relying on one client or one type of work creates vulnerability, not security. When photographer Chase Jarvis built his empire, he didn't just shoot campaigns for Nike. He simultaneously developed stock photography, taught workshops, created digital courses, and licensed existing work. Each stream reinforced the others while providing distinct revenue sources. Think of your freelance business like a fruit tree orchard rather than a single apple tree. One diseased tree can devastate your harvest, but multiple varieties ensure consistent production across seasons. Laura Briggs, who built a 6-figure writing business, demonstrates this principle perfectly. She combines client work with course sales, affiliate marketing, and book royalties. When client demand drops during economic uncertainty, her passive products continue generating income. The key lies in choosing complementary streams rather than completely unrelated ventures. Web designer Paul Boag didn't randomly start selling pottery. He created design courses, offered consulting calls, wrote books about user experience, and developed templates. Each activity leverages his existing expertise while reaching different market segments. Start with your current skills and ask, how else can people consume this knowledge? If you write marketing copy, you might create email templates, teach writing workshops, or offer strategy consultations. The goal is maximum leverage with minimum additional learning curves. Consider the 70-20-10 rule that venture capitalists use for portfolio management. Dedicate 70% of your time to proven client work that pays your bills. Allocate 20% to developing adjacent opportunities like productizing your services or building referral relationships. Reserve 10% for experimental projects that might become tomorrow's primary income source. Passive products deserve special attention because they generate revenue while you sleep. Design consultant David Airy created logo design books that continue selling years after publication. These products required upfront investment but now provide steady monthly income with minimal maintenance. The most dangerous mistake is spreading yourself too thin across unrelated ventures. Freelance success coach Aaron Alston warns against what he calls shiny object syndrome. Every new opportunity seems attractive, but pursuing too many dilutes your effectiveness in all areas. Review your income streams quarterly. Are they truly diversified or just different clients in the same vulnerable category? When consulting work slowed during a pandemic, those with multiple revenue types weathered the storm. Those dependent solely on corporate consulting faced serious financial stress. Your goal is creating what economists call non-correlated assets. When one income source faces challenges, others remain stable or even grow. This approach transforms freelancing from a financial roller coaster into a sustainable, resilient business model that supports both current needs and future growth opportunities. Part 3. The Safety Net. When Netflix's Reed Hastings famously kept 9 months of operating expenses in cash reserves, he wasn't being overly cautious. He was preparing for the inevitable storms that every business faces. Your freelance career deserves the same strategic protection. Building a financial safety net feels impossible when feast or famine cycles dominate your income. Yet the most successful freelancers treat emergency planning as their first priority, not their last. Consider freelance designer Jessica Hish, who maintains what she calls her Sleep Well at Night fund. 6 months of expenses saved specifically for slow periods and unexpected costs. Emergency savings serve as your business insurance policy. When graphic designer David Airy faced a major client who refused payment on a $15,000 project, his emergency fund prevented financial disaster. Without it, he would have faced devastating cash flow problems while pursuing legal action. Instead, he weathered the storm and eventually recovered his payment. The mathematics are straightforward but crucial. Calculate your monthly essential expenses: rent, utilities, groceries, insurance premiums. Multiply by 6. This becomes your target emergency fund. Start by saving just $50 per month, if that's all you can manage. Consistency matters more than amount. Tax preparation requires equal vigilance. The IRS doesn't accept "I forgot" as valid reasoning for missed payments. Freelance writer Laura Briggs recommends the 30% rule. Immediately transfer 30% of every payment into a separate tax account. This covers federal taxes, state obligations, and self-employment taxes while providing a small buffer. Consider opening dedicated accounts for different purposes. Wells Fargo offers business savings accounts with automatic transfers that move preset amounts from checking to savings after each deposit. This automation removes the temptation to skip saving during busy periods. Quarterly tax payments become manageable when you prepare consistently. Form 1040-ES helps calculate estimated payments, but many freelancers simply pay 25% of their previous year's tax obligation each quarter. This safe harbor provision prevents penalties even if your income increases. Unexpected expenses arrive without warning. Equipment failures, medical emergencies, or economic downturns don't wait for convenient timing. When the 2020 pandemic hit, freelancers with robust safety nets pivoted successfully while others faced immediate financial crisis. Your safety net creates psychological freedom alongside financial security. Knowing you can survive 3 to 6 months without income transforms your client negotiations. You'll stop accepting terrible projects from desperation and start choosing opportunities that advance your career. Smart freelancers view their safety net as professional equipment, as essential as their computer or phone. This financial foundation enables the confidence needed to build a thriving freelance career rather than merely surviving project to project. Part 4. The Freedom Fund. When designer Maria Santos calculated her first Freedom Fund in 2018, she discovered something remarkable. After setting aside money for taxes and emergencies, she had an additional $200 monthly that could transform her freelance career. Within 18 months, this fund enabled her to decline low-paying rush jobs and invest in advanced design courses. Today, she charges triple her original rates and works with Fortune 500 companies. This transformation didn't happen through earning more money. It happened through reframing what money could do. Most freelancers trap themselves in survival mode, viewing every dollar saved as money they can't spend today. This scarcity mindset creates a dangerous cycle. Without a freedom fund, you accept every project offered, regardless of quality or pay. You work weekends because you can't afford to say no. You skip professional development because the immediate cost seems too high. Your savings account becomes a psychological prison rather than a launching pad. The Freedom Fund operates differently from emergency savings. While your safety net covers unexpected crises, your Freedom Fund finances intentional opportunities. Think of it as your professional growth account. Web developer Jake Morrison used his Freedom Fund to take a 3-month sabbatical learning React Native. That investment led to mobile app contracts worth $75,000 annually. His friend Sarah Chen used hers to attend a design conference in Amsterdam, where she met her highest-paying client. Building this fund requires a fundamental shift in perspective. Start treating savings as an investment in future choices rather than money removed from circulation. When photographer Lisa Park saves $300 monthly for her Freedom Fund, she's not sacrificing current enjoyment. She's purchasing future flexibility. This money might fund a workshop with Annie Leibovitz, cover living expenses during a passion project, or provide runway time to develop a signature style that commands premium rates. The compound effect of a Freedom Fund extends beyond money. Knowing you can survive financially while pursuing growth opportunities changes how you present yourself to clients. You negotiate from strength rather than desperation. You can walk away from toxic clients because you have options. This confidence alone often leads to better opportunities and higher rates. Start small, but start immediately. Even $50 monthly builds momentum and changes your relationship with money. Graphic designer Tom Bradley began with $25 weekly transfers to his Freedom Fund. After 2 years, he used the accumulated amount to relocate from Cleveland to Austin, where his tech-savvy design skills commanded 40% higher rates. His Freedom Fund didn't just provide money, it provided permission to pursue a better life. Consider this fund your freelance superpower. While others remain trapped in reactive cycles, you're actively shaping your career trajectory. Every deposit represents future freedom, whether that means saying no to difficult clients, investing in cutting-edge skills, or taking calculated risks that employees never could. The question isn't whether you can afford to build a Freedom Fund, it's whether you can afford not to. Chapter 5. The Legacy, Building a Life That Lasts, Part 1. The Reputation Game. When designer Sarah Kim delivered her first logo design to a tech startup in 2018, she thought completing the work on time was enough. The client loved the design, but never hired her again. 3 years later, after building a 6-figure freelance business, Sarah realized what she had missed. Reputation isn't built on talent alone. It's constructed through every interaction, email, and promise kept. Your reputation as a freelancer operates like compound interest. Each positive client experience builds upon the last, creating exponential returns over time. When marketing consultant Ed Gandia surveyed successful freelancers earning over $100,000 annually, he found that 78% of their income came from repeat clients or referrals. These freelancers hadn't just delivered projects, they had become trusted advisors. Trust begins before you even start working. When photographer Annie Leibovitz's team confirms shoot details 3 times before an event, they're not being obsessive. They're preventing the small miscommunications that destroy professional relationships. The same principle applies whether you're designing websites or writing copy. Clear communication about timelines, expectations, and deliverables sets the foundation for everything that follows. Consider how consultant Ramit Sethi handles client onboarding. He sends detailed project briefs that outline not just what will be delivered, but how decisions will be made, when check-ins will occur, and what success looks like. This level of professionalism eliminates surprises and positions him as someone who thinks beyond the immediate task. The most successful freelancers understand that their reputation extends far beyond project completion. Web developer John Sonmez built his brand by consistently answering questions in online communities, even when it didn't directly benefit him. This approach generated millions in consulting revenue because potential clients saw him as generous with knowledge and reliable in his responses. But reputation also requires saying no. When a client asks you to cut corners or compromise your standards, decline respectfully. Photographer Chase Jarvis turned down a lucrative campaign because the timeline would have required rushed work that didn't meet his standards. That client later returned with a better timeline and higher budget, specifically because they respected his commitment to quality. Your professional legacy is built through small, consistent actions. Answer emails promptly, deliver work when promised, acknowledge mistakes quickly, and fix them faster. These habits seem mundane, but they differentiate professionals from amateurs in a crowded marketplace. The freelancers who thrive long-term treat every client interaction as an investment in their future business. They know that reputation, once established, becomes their most valuable asset, one that generates opportunities they never have to chase. Part 2. Mentor Moments. When Sarah Chen started offering free monthly design workshops in her local community center, she had no idea that one attendee would become her biggest client. The marketing director from a nearby tech startup approached her after class, impressed not by her portfolio, but by her teaching ability. "Anyone who can explain color theory to complete beginners," he said, "can definitely handle our brand guidelines." That contract became her highest-paying client relationship, leading to 3 years of steady work and referrals worth over $180,000. Teaching others what you know creates unexpected pathways. Pete Savage, co-author of The Wealthy Freelancer, discovered this when he began answering questions in online forums about copywriting. His helpful responses caught the attention of business owners who later hired him for major projects. The act of sharing knowledge publicly demonstrated his expertise better than any sales pitch could. Many freelancers resist mentoring because they view other freelancers as competition. This scarcity mindset ignores a fundamental truth. The market is vast enough for everyone, and helping others often returns to benefit you directly. Laura Briggs built her 6-figure freelance writing business partly by teaching other writers through online courses. Each student she helped succeed became an advocate for her services, often referring clients they couldn't handle themselves. Modern mentoring takes many forms beyond traditional one-on-one relationships. Creating educational content through blogs, YouTube videos, or online courses positions you as an authority while generating additional income streams. Steve Slonwhite transformed his consulting business by developing training programs for other freelancers, eventually earning more from teaching than from client work. The process of explaining concepts to others also sharpens your own understanding. When freelance photographer Marcus Johnson started teaching weekend workshops on portrait lighting, he found himself experimenting with new techniques to stay ahead of his students. This constant learning improved his client work and justified higher rates. Mentoring also provides perspective during challenging periods. When clients are difficult or projects feel overwhelming, helping someone just starting their freelance journey reminds you how far you've progressed. This shift in viewpoint often reveals solutions to current problems that seemed impossible before. The time investment required for mentoring is smaller than most freelancers assume. Even dedicating 1 hour weekly to answering questions in professional groups or reviewing someone's work samples can make a significant impact. Many successful freelancers schedule these activities as part of their business development, understanding that giving back eventually creates new opportunities. Consider how your unique journey could help others avoid common mistakes or accelerate their progress. Your specific combination of skills, industry knowledge, and hard-won experience represents valuable insights that someone else desperately needs. The question isn't whether you have something worthwhile to teach, but rather how you'll choose to share it. Part 3. Success Redefined. When Tim Ferriss published The 4-Hour Workweek in 2007, critics dismissed it as fantasy. Yet 15 years later, thousands of freelancers have achieved something even more valuable than his 4-hour promise. They've redefined what success actually means. The most fulfilled freelancers aren't necessarily earning the most money. They're the ones who've aligned their work with their authentic values. Sarah Chen learned this lesson after her freelance graphic design business hit 6 figures. Despite the impressive income, she felt empty working 70-hour weeks for demanding corporate clients. Her breakthrough came when she shifted focus from revenue to relationships, taking on fewer projects that genuinely excited her. Her income dropped by 30%, but her satisfaction increased dramatically. She now spends afternoons with her young daughter and takes month-long trips to sketch in European cities. This pattern repeats across successful freelancers. Research from the Freelancers Union shows that 79% of full-time freelancers report higher job satisfaction than traditional employees, despite often earning less initially. The difference lies in their definition of prosperity. Money remains important, but it serves as a tool rather than the destination. Laura Briggs, author of The 6-Figure Freelancer, discovered that her happiest clients weren't those earning the most. They were those who'd identified their personal freedom formula. Some valued time flexibility to care for aging parents. Others prioritized creative autonomy or the ability to work from anywhere. The key lies in honest self-assessment. What does your ideal Tuesday look like? If you're naturally introverted, building a business requiring constant networking might generate income but drain your energy. If family time matters most, pursuing projects with impossible deadlines contradicts your values, regardless of pay. Consider Jake Morrison, a freelance writer who turned down a $50,000 annual retainer because it required availability from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily. Instead, he chose smaller projects totaling $35,000, but allowing him to coach his son's baseball team and maintain his morning running routine. 5 years later, his diverse client base generates $75,000 annually while preserving his priorities. The most sustainable freelance careers emerge from this values-first approach. When your work aligns with what genuinely matters, you naturally perform better, attract ideal clients, and avoid burnout. Success becomes measured by whether you're living according to your principles, not just meeting financial targets. What would success look like if money weren't the primary metric? Your answer to this question should guide every business decision, from client selection to project scope. The freelancers who thrive long-term understand that true wealth includes freedom, relationships, health, and personal fulfillment, elements that no paycheck can fully capture. Part 4. The Endless Friday. Maria Gonzalez checks her phone at 10:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. 3 client projects await her attention, but first, she's heading to her daughter's school play. This isn't a scheduling conflict, it's Tuesday, and Tuesdays belong to family moments that matter. By evening, she'll complete her design work from her home studio, earning more per hour than her previous corporate salary while being present for the moments that shaped her decision to freelance. The traditional boundary between work and life dissolves when your career becomes an extension of your values. Laura Chen discovered this truth when she left investment banking to become a freelance financial consultant. Initially, she worried about losing structure and income stability. 3 years later, she earns 40% more while working from coffee shops in different cities each month. Her clients value her expertise, not her office location or rigid schedule. This transformation isn't accidental. Chen built systems that serve her lifestyle rather than control it. She uses project management tools to deliver consistent results, regardless of her location. Her communication protocols ensure clients receive timely responses without requiring her constant availability. She's created what Timothy Ferriss calls lifestyle automation, systems that generate income while supporting personal freedom. The most successful freelancers design their days around energy patterns and personal priorities. David Kim, a software developer, discovered he's most creative between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. He schedules complex coding projects during these peak hours and reserves afternoons for client calls and administrative tasks. This approach doubled his productivity and eliminated the afternoon energy crashes that plagued his office days. Freedom without structure becomes chaos, but structure without flexibility defeats the purpose of freelancing. The solution lies in creating what Diane Mulcahy describes as flexible frameworks. These are systems robust enough to ensure professional excellence, but adaptable enough to accommodate life's unexpected moments. Sarah Williams exemplifies this balance. As a freelance marketing consultant, she maintains core business hours for client availability, while protecting time for her passion project, writing children's books. Her freelance income funded the publication of her first book, which now generates passive income. Each element of her professional life reinforces the others, creating a career ecosystem that grows stronger over time. The compound effect of aligned work becomes evident over time. When your daily efforts support both immediate income and long-term dreams, every hour invested serves multiple purposes. This isn't about working more, it's about working in harmony with your authentic self. Friday arrives, but it feels no different from Tuesday because every day offers the potential for meaningful work and personal fulfillment. The weekend-weekday distinction fades when your career reflects your values rather than someone else's schedule. This is the endless Friday, not the absence of work, but the presence of work that energizes rather than depletes, challenges rather than frustrates, and builds the life you actually want to live.